let everyone join us. So far, it's just you and I, Cass. We'll give. Oh, people are
we've got people coming in.
Amazing. This is good. We could have just talked to each other. Hi, everyone.
Some familiar
Welcome.
faces, which is great.
Love that. Hello. Say hello to us. Tell us that the chat is working. Tell us what you've been up to today. It is Bass Due Day. So high five if you're done and on top of things, or extra high five if you've chosen to join us and you've still got stuff to do.
And if your clients haven't got your stuff to you by now, then don't rush and bust a gut trying to get it out today. If they can't get it to you on time, that's their issue, not yours.
Exactly. Yes. Mental health and well-being first.
Yes.
So,
somebody just drop something into chat to make sure it's working for us, please. Awesome. Thanks, Martin. Appreciated. Lovely, Tanya. Cool, Sam. Brilliant. Thank you.
Yes. Perth. Oh my goodness, Martin. I miss Perth. I was over there for the ICB summit a while ago. It was the best. I kind of want to move there.
I was born in Perth.
Yeah,
little unknown fact. There you go.
Oh, there you go. Well,
don't remember much of it. There we go.
There you go. Oh, well, we should go on a road trip. Well, not a road trip, definitely a flight, but head back over there. That's amazing. So welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today on this beautiful Friday. My name is Tegan Swan. I am the Senior Communications and Engagement Manager for XBert. So my job is to share with you how we can help you and learn from you as well. So this webinar is just one of the ways that we do this, and I am very honoured to be with you and to be hosting today. And I'm joined by absolute legend that I'm pretty sure you all already know, Cassandra Scott, who needs no introduction, but she's here today in her capacity as our XBert Practice Consultant and industry expert as well. And so she'll be walking us through our discovery session and just showing you how XBert can help and support you. We are going to have a little bit of a focus on some of the BAS stuff, some of the end of financial year, but this is actually just an interactive, informal, small group setting. So please, there is no such thing as a silly question. We are here to answer and tell you whatever you need to know to help you decide whether XBert is something that is for you. So without further ado, here is what we will be covering today. I will just share my screen with you. 1 second. Okay. So share away. There we go. Hopefully you can see that. Please let me know if you can't. So today what we're going to do is we're basically going to talk to you about what XBert is, why we're here and how we can help. We're going to show you some of the key features and benefits specifically for bookkeepers. We're going to show you XBert in action, live demo. We're going to talk about some success stories and how it is helping people just like you. And we're going to talk about how you can get started if it sounds like something that you are into, and then we've got time for Q&As at the end. Now, we do promise that we will stay on time because we are all busy, and both Cass and I are doing back-to-back stuff at the moment as well, so we do need to stay on time also. Yep. But anything we don't get answered, that's completely fine. We will pop those into our Facebook group. So if you're not a member, I'll send out some information in the recording after this. I'll tell you how to join the Facebook group, and also on a fortnightly rotational basis with this, we do an Ask Us Anything session. So anything, we will do our best to get through as much as possible, but anything we don't get to, please know, we will definitely answer it as soon as possible.
Absolutely. And look, there's no silly questions about this as well. A lot of people are just discovering XBert for the first time and not quite sure what it does and how it does it and what the value. So please ask the questions. We've got some coming through already in the Q&A, but if you want to ask them in chat as well, that's fine. We can actually, we'll just correlate everything together from there. So yeah.
Yes, we will. So here's what we're going to cover. I'm going to ask you some questions first. Now, as Cass said, there's no such thing as a silly question. You can either feel free to play along in the chat and answer those, or you can just have a think about them for yourself. But this is just to establish where you're at and what elements of XBert are probably best suited for you and how we can help you. So let's start with data quality and how you are actually looking after and making sure what you're doing with your clients are serving your needs. So what are you doing? Tell us in the chat. What are the reasons you jumped on today? What drew you to this session? What are you hoping to get out of possibly using XBert? And what are the biggest challenges you face in your business currently? Now, I'll tell you while we're waiting for people to respond. And feel free to jump in here anytime at all, Cass, because the thing I was going to say is that I'm not a bookkeeper or an accountant. My background is in communications and technology. And so I've been doing some research around the current challenges. I shared them if you follow us on social media. And I actually got so much feedback from people around, yes, they are the technology, the labor shortages, all of those things they seem quite common in the stuff that everyone's trying to deal with. So okay, so we've got guests reducing
Yeah, we've got
errors,
some good stuff coming through, a mixture of both workflow and data integrity and data quality, which is great.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
So using other tools previously doesn't integrate, which is why we're looking at XBert. How the checks work across Xero. Yep, checking clients' data is your main goal for now. Look, all of those are absolutely relevant and were the key things that triggered for me when I first jumped into XBert as a bookkeeper in practice. So even though I'm sitting here with my XBert hat on, I'm actually a bookkeeper who works, as most of you probably already know, and have had a practice for 17 years. And again, with what we do, some of the biggest challenges that we've got are the time it takes us to look at a client's data set and assess what the quality of data is, and particularly at end of BAS period, where we're often sitting going through laborious reports trying to find those sort of little bits of detail. Has the client got a tax invoice for this amount that's over $75 or $82.50? Do we have an ABN? Do we have the right ABN? What about double up of payments? All of the stuff that we as bookkeepers probably lose sleep over most nights of the week, and cause us to sit in corners sometimes sucking our thumb, rocking back and forth. I know it's done it for me. So it's about the data integrity side of things and that, and how do we make that process as streamlined as possible, because more often than not the clients don't necessarily value the time that we're putting in to ensure that their data is of a high quality. The other side of that for me has always been about workflows and tracking the workflows in our practice, and what do we do, who do we do it for, what are we doing for that particular client, when are we doing it for that client, who's doing it for that client, how long should it take us to do for that client, how long did it take us to do for that client, and how often do we have to rinse, wash and repeat that particular work element for the client. So this is
You're
where
such a mind reader, Kat. So before we get into the see, she's so good. She just
wind me up and let me go.
No, and that's the thing that I love about this, because it is so intuitive. So what we'd love to know is, before we get onto the workflow stuff, how are you, again in the chat, if you're willing to contribute to the discussion, how are you currently checking the data quality? How many files, how many invoices, how many attachments, how many transactions are you currently able to check? Do you wish it was more? Does it concern you? Do you like manual checking and reviewing? Do you wish you could outsource it or assign it to someone else? Choose your adventure, answer any of these questions. Or do you love it? Is it your jam, but you just wish you could get through more of it? You love ensuring that quality and you love that work. There's no wrong answers, but just how there's industry standards. And one of the things that I was researching recently, especially around the time it takes people to do their BAS reporting and how many files and transactions they actually check as an industry standard, was quite alarming to me. So yeah, it would be really, really interesting to see where you're at. So feel free to just, as it comes up as we're going along, tell us where you're at with ensuring data quality, what concerns you around that, what you wish you could or couldn't do. And then I'm going to let Cass continue with the automation and the workflow stuff, because that's our next lot of questions.
Yeah. So Chris, you've come back with quality is king. And I think that's the thing that we all have as a mantra in what we do for our clients. Jane, you're absolutely correct. You can't check every possible entry. I've got BAS reports that could be 100 lines. I've got BAS reports that are 5,000 lines. And we cannot guarantee to a client that we don't pick pick everything up. And it's always the way, that the one thing that you miss is the one thing that the client does finally pick up and sort of has a serious word to you about why did you miss this one. Tanya, I'm the same as you. I don't like manual checking, and I like to be able to standardize what we do in our practice. Yep, Margaret, manual checking takes too long. Same as your comment there, Julie. It's time consuming and it can miss errors on a first glance. And I think that's the other thing too. We get very complacent. We're seeing the same thing over and over again, and you probably get into this sort of, I know I've found myself doing it, you're just nodding and sort of almost going to sleep when you're looking at the data, and trying to go, well, actually, what did I miss? And you may end up going back and revisiting it, or you get the shiny thing because it's boring work to do, and you get distracted by something else around the corner. So all of those things, I think, kick in to the challenges that we face as bookkeepers around the data integrity side of things. So do you want me to jump in and start talking about the automation,
Yes.
the data
that
integrity?
would be great. Thanks, Cass.
Yeah,
and
cool.
as we go along, look, we might chuck some questions out there to you once Cass has shown you just how helpful all the AI audit checks can be, and being able to work by exception rather than, higgledy-piggledy or whatever method you currently use around trying to ensure that you're checking everything you need to check. So this is just, that peace of mind and having your back around knowing that your data's clean as a first point of call. And then we'll show you how that works into the automation and the workflow. But I'm handing over to you, Cass.
Don't go too fast for us. Thanks, Chris. The session is being recorded, so it will be available. And look, this is a very top-down review of everything. We're not going to go into fine detail about how it's all done, but more about what it actually shows you. So the key thing is here, you've got all of your clients linked into XBert. And from an analytics perspective, you don't necessarily, and XBert will probably kill me for saying this, but not all clients necessarily need the deeper analytics. If you've got a 20-line client a month, I probably wouldn't bring them in. That said, if you do bring them in, it just means that the whole aggregation of data around data analytics and quality continues to improve and continues to give you a practice-wide perspective and also a client metric against each other, so some comparatives. But certainly your more complex clients, I would be bringing into XBert for analytics. So when we talk about analytics and we talk about experts, what exactly does that mean? So I think it's 77 now, isn't it, Tegan? They've just released the latest one. Yeah.
Yes, it sure is. We're working towards 100.
Yeah. So an expert is basically it's sitting over the top of your client file and reviewing all of your transactions in your client file at a very granular level. What are some of the things that it's checking? And it's not just the client information that it's checking as well, it's checking the file itself. So if I just run through some of them that have floated up here, and I'll just group them by client. Let's have a look, see what this client is. It's looking for things like, does your client have bills in a month without an attachment over $75? So we all know that the requirement for BAS lodgement and even tax reporting is substantiation of documentation. So do we have that? Things like lock dates not being set on your file. So this is obviously a big thing. If you inherited a file from a client who's telling you their data is absolutely perfect, but they don't have a lock date on it. ABNs, we get all bent and twisted around the concept of ABNs for a business. Now, the cool thing about some of these experts is when you click through them, you can actually auto-resolve it. So when we're looking at this, we can open up a simple tool here that says, okay, we think that we've found the ABR register matching record for the client that you have in zero, for the supplier that you have in zero. This is the ABN number that's attached to it. You can actually have a look at the ABR extract if you want. You could go and have a look at the transaction in zero very easily as well. But if you're happy that that actually does match, you're just simply accepting that. And that is updating the client record the supplier record in zero with the ABN number. So, the next time there's a client invoice in zero and it's there, that information will be in place. And you simply complete it, and that's now removed from your analytics board. So there are a whole heap of different experts that you can start to look at. Now, if you're working with clients and your clients are actively involved in the files, you can actually have your clients coming in here starting to address these, or you could choose to schedule that out to your client contact. You've got comments that you can make in here. So you might be saying, well, bill raised with supplier not registered for GST, gee whiz, we need to follow that up with the client, or we're sending a message to the client's contact to follow that up. we can assign it to different staff members. We can see whether or not there's a tax risk associated with it. I won't say that terribly fast moving forward. If you've got your expert connected to Xero Practice Manager, you can start to track time around how long it takes you to resolve. So one of the things that we do before any BAS is we come in here and we actually have a look at the experts that have triggered for our clients. And with some of these clients, we're doing this on a daily or a weekly basis. So we're constantly reviewing and assessing the quality of the data in a client's file. And we all know if we wait till the end of a quarter to chase something up, it's less likely that we're going to get a response from the client if we need a response from them, than if we're chasing it up from the client on a more regular basis, a weekly or a fortnightly basis. So it's about automating the quality integrity checks that we look at a far deeper level than we can from a human basis. So what's it looking at as well? It's looking at things like the bank account details on the tax invoice associated with your transaction are different to the bank account details that are in your contact record in Xero. So, you know, anybody out there had issues with that previously and the challenges that's faced, or receiving an amended invoice that's been intercepted on the way into the Xero file? If you can chuck that into chat to let us know whether or not you've seen that happening, that'd be really interesting to see. Anyone? Yep. I know we've certainly had it. You know, you might have a number of bills in draft or awaiting approval. There are 76 of these. And if I jump into analytics, we've got a number of different reports we can then run over the files as well. So let's think that you've perhaps taken on a new client. And again, aren't all client files perfect if you're talking to the clients? Margaret, you said you don't use Xero. What product do you use? MYOB or QBO? MYOB integrates with MYOB as well, Cheryl. So we talk about this in the context of Xero because that's my baby and what I use, but it does work with other software applications as well. So we come in here, again, you can start to run different types of reports and health checks. The health check report is really great when you're taking on a new client, because you can actually start to have a look at what the quality is of the data in the client's file. And I'm just loading this out now. And it's having a think. This client's really good. We are running in a demo file, so demos don't always work, unfortunately, so I'm sorry about that. But it starts to look at activity and volume of activity, where you've got risk profiles in a file. So for anybody that's actually starting to work with a fixed fee proposal for a client, and I'm sorry, I'm not quite sure why this isn't loading in the demo. Help me out, Tegan.
We might be, I know that when today is a release day, so we might be actually updating the files to take in the new expert that we have released. Otherwise, you can scroll down to the bottom ones. They have even more dummy data.
Yeah, okay, we might jump into those dummy ones then. So where are we on our practice reports?
Here
we go. We've got some dummy data here. Come in and have a look. God, you don't work with kids, animals, or technology. I've decided they need to update that saying robots. Yeah. So from an analytics perspective, it looks at your client's data from every which way is possible. And I think when you started, you might have had 30 analytics in the files, Tegan. And over the time, it's been developed out to 77. And what they're working on is feedback from us, the people at the desktop dealing with this data, basically saying, what do you need? What would help you ensure that the quality of your client's data is as good as it possibly can be. And look, I'm really sorry, these reports aren't loading at the moment. So what I'm going to do is jump into the other part of XBert that is really, really powerful as well.
And while you're doing that, Cass, I might ask some more questions. We'll circle back to analytics. I'll just send a quick message to the guys, but you know what? I actually love this. Like, I know that this is like, oh, well, you can tell it's live, but to me, like, this is, and I know you know this, Cass, because you've been so involved in it, but I just love that we are constantly updating and refreshing stuff. And just even though we're working with AI and robots, it's real humans who are so very invested in making this the best it can be. That Cass and I were chatting about Steve, who's our chief data scientist. He has the most incredible brain, and every time I do a demo with him around the analytics and the reporting, the feedback is always, wow, this is the most in-depth and best reporting I've seen across the industry. So yes, they are sometimes, when we do our releases, they do update and sometimes can go down for a second or two. But the how we respond to them is so great. So while we're doing that and opening the workflow, next lot of questions for you to consider. So I hope with the data quality and stuff like that Cass has just talked about, how incredible is that? It's like having an extra bookkeeper or an extra staff member right there helping you be able to get more done, check more data quality, all of those things that just creates that peace of mind and reassurance for you. Now, couple that with the workflow and the automation that we're about to go through. Tell us though, what are you currently using? How are you managing all of your tasks, your deadlines, your processes? What do you use if you have a team? How are you ensuring consistency across all of your clients or all of your staff members? What are you doing in that space now? What are you looking for? And what are you hoping that our workflow can give you? What's payroll? If you do payroll, what's that look like? How are you getting through BAS at the moment? Compliance, all of those things. Spreadsheets. I know, do you know what? Some of the most incredible, talented, so intelligent bookkeepers and accountants I know are using spreadsheets, or the best one I've ever seen are actually still handwritten. Everything is handwritten out, which I am in awe of, but I promise you, Cass can look how we can help that. So type away and Cass is going to give us a demo.
Yeah, absolutely. And look, when I first started using XBert, the focus was very strongly on the analytics side of things. And I jumped in on the analytics because I love high quality data for my clients. And I went, yeah, this is gold. I really love this. But for me, what was really understated was the workflows that was in XBert. And it's only probably been since the beginning of the year that I've really jumped in and understood the value that workflows brings to my practice. Much the same as all of you there. We've got Trello's, we've got Excel's, we've got Practice Manager, Carbon. I've just been talking to a couple of bookies that are using ClickUp. So there's a whole heap of other variations of how people try to manage the work that we do for the clients. And when we're doing that, we're looking at it from a number of different perspectives. Firstly, it's about what do we do in our practice? How do we deliver a BAS for a client? What are the steps that we need to go through as a practice owner to deliver this in a consistent way to all of our clients by all of our staff? So you don't want staff member A doing something this way and staff member B doing something a completely different way. You want to standardize the way that you deliver work out. The other thing that we are challenged with often is how do we keep track of who we're doing that work for, and when do we have to do that work for, and whether or not that work's actually been done. And this is often where these Excel checklists come in, these Asana boards where things get, tagged and moved and statused. XBert basically pushes all of those things off of the table. And I got very excited when I realized the capacity and the capability. So what XBert leverages off of is an automation template. And in simplistic terms, an automation template is the step-by-step process that you go through to deliver that work package, that service to your clients. So, we do payroll, we do BAS, we do IAS, we do TPAR, we do 100 different things. We approve leave applications, we do end of month leave accrual journals, like right down to that really nitty gritty. How do we do this within our practice? What do we need to record in the client file? What reports do we need to attach to that transaction in the client file? It is that detailed. You can map out that process in XBert by using an automation template with a number of different subtasks against it. Now, subtasks are probably like checklists is a really good analogy to use. It doesn't necessarily mean that your staff, when they use this, have to physically tick everything off. If that's what you want them to do, then you go for it, that's absolutely brilliant. You have the capacity to capture additional information. So when we're ensuring that is actually happening, what else do we maybe need to consider? So you can become really, really detailed if that's the way you want to operate with the information that goes onto your automation templates. The other thing that you can flag on an automation template is there could be that client that's just a little bit special. And even though this is what you do for everybody, there's some clients that want you to do something that's off on a tangent or deviates away slightly from your standard process. So we've got a thing called, it's called a note, a client note. And what we're flagging here is that this is somewhere where you may find client notes. Now, this is a template, so the notes don't appear on the template as such, but this is a link to say that there will potentially be a client note or maybe a client note. The other thing when you're looking at your templates is you're able to link them back to a process. So you've got some sort of motherhood statements in terms of processes. And for anybody that's using Practice Manager, the processes actually link back to tasks in Practice Manager. So you can actually have a direct link between the work that you're doing in XBert and the job task combination in Practice Manager. You can identify the status of this task. So when this task does trigger, what will its status be? Any attachments that you need in there, but this one for me is particularly useful, is how long do I think this will take me to deliver on average for all of my clients, and does it have a priority attached to it? So once we've developed our workflow or our checklist for the work element that we're delivering for a client, what really brings it up front is the ability to apply schedules to a template. And a schedule being applied to a template tells you when that task that's created by the template will appear on the users or the employees or the staff members workboard. And the workboard is what you basically follow on a day-to-day basis about how to do and what you've got to do. So BASs, for instance, we do BASs on a monthly basis and we do BASs on a quarterly basis. So if I have a look at our monthly schedule and jump in here, we can see that when this template triggers, we want it to be assigned to the accountant or bookkeeper. And at a client level, you'll have nominated who the accountant or bookkeeper is, or the partner or the manager. So you've got flexibility to choose here. When do you want this to start? When do you want this to appear on your client, on your staff members' workboard? We want this to kick in on the 1st of July, or that's the starting date for the task. When do you want it to recur? This one recurs monthly and we have no end date associated with it. Once it does generate a task, when do you want that task to be nominated to be completed? 15 days after the start date. How far in advance do you want to see these on your employees' workboard, and a month? And as a practice owner, this now gives me a top-down view of what everybody's commitments are, for current month and 1 month out. And you could do it 6 months out if you wanted to. So you're not limited to it. The other thing is, so once we've got this template here that talks about the frequency within which we're delivering, we start to look at who the clients are we're delivering for. So this is our list of clients that we're delivering BAS agents for on a BAS agent services for on a monthly basis. And we said on the template originally, I think that it was 5 hours. Yeah, it was a 5 hours standard, but we've got a couple of clients that we know aren't going to take us as long. So maybe they're really, really simple clients. They've got, I don't know, 10 transactions a month or a quarter. So we can go in and we can say, well, we estimate these are actually going to take less than our 5 hours. So once we've got our templates generated, or our automation templates in play and all of the information in, when we save them, and if we save it and the dates have already passed, it will ask you if you want to create the templates for the current period. Otherwise, it sort of sits there and waits until the parameters are met. So we hit the 1st of June, it goes, oh, hang on, I need to create some stuff now for the 1st of June. And it does that automatically. And what happens as a consequence of that is, and this is me as my view, and in fact, I might just filter that down a little bit more to me as the assigned user. And you do have all of these wonderful filters that allow you to visualize both your automations, your analytic automations, and also your tasks in any way that you choose. So this is all of the stuff that's assigned to me. And you can see we've got some stuff that's on here from older dates. So I've got a start date for this particular piece of work that I need to do for the client. And if I open it up, I can see that at the moment it's not started, but I might be working on that now, and we change it to in progress. I can see that these are the things that I actually need to do to process the payroll with timesheets for Bob the Builder. So I'm stepping through and I've gone, yep, I've done that. I might have a query for Tegan. So I've got the ability to just pop a little note in here, tagging Tegan, saying, hey, Tegan, do you know why leave's not being recorded? Or if you've got a client connected, so if you're using the Client Connect side of things, you could actually tag that through to the client contact and they'll get a message around that as well. Again, you're seeing the data here. If you're connected to Practice Manager, you'll be able to book time up from here, and that will appear on the task, on the job task combination in Practice Manager. So I could just jump in here. You can see at the moment it's reading the job in Practice Manager. If I have a look here, that tells me it's selected already Bobby the Builder, and it's selected the payroll task that was actually on that job. I can punch the time in. I do have timers that can be used if you want to. So it's not just simply punching time in. So you can start and finish timers and have concurrent timers running. It's billable, work done, or whatever you would normally put into your timesheet entry. Hit commit, and that's pushed your task iteration through to Practice Manager. Even without Practice Manager, you won't be able to track time at this stage, but you can track the status of the work and whether it's being completed or if it needs to be assigned to someone else. Now, one of the cool things with the statuses, and these are all customizable, so whilst you've got your defaults within XBert, you can actually expand on these in any which way you want. But it could also be that you've got, if you've got a state that you want or a status that you want, that if it's assigned to the partner for review, it will automatically go to that person who is nominated as the partner for that particular client. So if you're the bookkeeper working on that client and somebody else has nominated the partner, by selecting partner review, that will automatically go to the partner. You don't necessarily have to do anything about it. They'll get a notification that the task has been assigned to them. You might have added some commentary in here about what you want them to have a look at or why it's gone, or it might just be part of your standard workflow. So this for me, in terms of features and benefits, as the analytics are awesome as a service delivery to our clients and ensuring that the work that we do for our clients is of the highest caliber of quality that we can send out the door. This is about making sure my staff have the capacity and the ability and know when and how and what they've got to do for those clients. So both as a bookkeeper trying to book time up and track those things, it's very easy for me to do. But when I look at it also globally from a practice management perspective, we can unearth so much information about what's happening here. So you've wound me up again, Tegan, and I've just kept going. I can see some questions coming in about Excel and manual automation templates available in the free trial. So no, look, these detailed templates, Stacey, are my demo templates. This is a demo file that I've set up for these sorts of sessions. And the templates that are in there are sort of very, very similar to the ones that I use in my practice, but it's an indication around how detailed you can actually get. So think about it in the context. There's probably two perspectives to look at there. One is that if somebody in your practice gets, somebody said it was the angry koala earlier, but hit by a bus, and we decided it was an angry koala driving a bus, knocks them out of service. How do you easily visualize what they were supposed to be doing, and so that you can redeploy it to somebody else? Or you've got a new staff member coming into your practice, and training is obviously one of the things, but how do you minimize or simplify the training process? And certainly when we started to jump into the workflows in XBert, we had a new staff member coming into our practice. And one of the things that I was able to do to the staff member was basically say, look, we want to start you on this particular thing. Here's the list of clients, because we'd set up the templates to appear on their work list. Here's all of the clients that you need to work through. This is what we're doing. And from memory, it was doing the IASs for January. They were able to jump in here and literally follow step by step by step the process of how we do an IAS in our practice. They had a couple of questions along the way, which was awesome, but it meant one of us wasn't necessarily sitting there and just literally following a book step by step, because it was all detailed in here. that in a nutshell is workflows in XBert and the value that they bring to us as bookkeeping practices. One of the things I've said all along with XBert since I started looking at working with them or using XBert a few years ago is that it's probably one of the first applications that's been developed with the work that bookkeepers do front of mind. And it's really got a solid foundation around that. So I'll open it up to any questions and throw back to Tegan at the moment as well.
No, amazing. Isn't she amazing? My goodness. I don't think that there is anyone who can explain it as well as Cass does. So as Cass said, is there any questions that you have around the AI audits, the alerts, how they work, how you align them to your processes based on the services that you do? Please ask away. If there's any questions that you have around the workflow and the automation, as Cass said, the ones that are in our demo account are more based around her ones, and we're working with Cass and some of our other incredible mastermind people on creating different versions of workflows. But when you do sign up for your free trial, you can load our best practice templates that come as standard. They aren't as detailed as the ones that Cass has in the demo account, obviously, because we've tried to make them, I guess, a bit across the board. What we would recommend, though, is when you do get started, use those as your starting points because they have all of the alerts mapped to them already. And so if you want to set up your own processes, then you'll have to remap them, which we absolutely can help you with. And we'll talk about fast tracking our support in a little bit. But there's some questions coming in, Cass. So
yeah, and there's actually a great question there, Rachel. Is there any functionality around emails being allocated as tasks? Yes, there is. So each user actually has a dedicated email in address. So if I come into the user settings, for this XBert file would be my email in address. So if you've received an email from a client and you want to assign that into XBert as a task for somebody to complete, you would forward that email into XBert. You would get a notification up in your activity that that's actually come in. You would be able to open that up. You would be able to assign it to a staff member. You would be able to assign it to an automation template if you need to, or it can just remain as a standalone task. You can have a start time, a finish time, and estimated hours attached to that as well. So yeah, Rachel, it does that. Rules. So Jack, are you talking about the rules associated with the automations and the analytics? Yeah, okay. Now I'm going to put my hand up and say I'm not deep into the rules. We haven't invested a lot of time at this stage. Tegan, are you across rules more cleanly?
Yeah, look, not to the level of our development team and how they use that, but basically how the rules apply. And Cass, you did actually kind of touch on it a little bit in that you can set those up for, as Cass said, you've got different clients, you've got different schedules, how things work. And as we said, like what we recommend, use what is there to start off with, go through your 30-day free trial, have a look at how that works. And then on a case-by-case basis, based on either your services or your client, then start to make those adjustments to the existing templates first to apply those rules. Because with the rules, they can apply across the board to your whole practice. They can apply to the process or to the alert, or it can apply to the client. So the level of customization is something that is specifically beneficial to bookkeepers and accountants in the industry, as opposed to just using standard kind of workflows and automations. So
here's a good one, Jack, and I think this is probably going to explain what you were after. So one of the experts is an accounts payables process is not followed. So how many times do we have clients that just do spend money, spend money, spend money, when really we'd like to see them go into the system as a bill? And one of the experts will flow through that says, hang on, this looks like it should be a bill, so accounts payable process hasn't followed. If we click through it, what we can actually do is set some rules that basically says it does apply to all your clients or it excludes specific clients. So for some clients, it might be absolutely okay. They might be on a zero cash book file, so they don't necessarily have the ability to raise bills. So you might have a rule that will actually stop this XBert triggering for a particular client, or depending on different conditions that may apply. So you can be as complex about it or as simple about it as you want, and you can really start to customize it at a very, very deep level for your particular practice. But I would start simply, get the hang of it. Don't try and overcomplicate it at the beginning. Start simply, do the basic stuff well. And as you become comfortable and understand how it's operating, then step down into the next level, because you can pretty much, with the experts, the automation experts, you know, as I said, there's 77 in there. Employee details, long service leave entitlements missing. There was a question about tax file numbers, and I'm actually not 100% sure whether or not that one's in there, but it's a great one. And if it's not, it would be, let's add it to the list that we check to see that there's a tax file number on an employee record. You know, leave balances. One of the really good ones is that we'll look at an employee record and tell you birth date, and if they're under 18, it could be a flag that there needs to be a pay revision. So again, all of these, customize them to your clients, but let them,
it is,
trigger.
and it's great as well. And it's funny, I was having a conversation just the other day around all the payroll and, you know, the employee benefits and all those things. And often the only process that people have for that is that an employee notifies them of, oh, sorry, there was a discrepancy there, because otherwise, you know, you just generally don't have all of that data to do it. But at least with this, with the automation and the alerts that we have, you don't have to worry about that. Your clients don't have to worry about that. It saves you so much time, them so much, you know, heartache or headache around, you know, knowing that everything's been done right. And if there are services or alerts that don't apply to you with the rules, you actually can just bulk complete them. You can set those rules so that you do not see them, or you only see them, as Cass said, over certain thresholds at certain periods as well. So that just all comes into the customization around how you run your business and how you would like XBert to work for you. So we are nearly done because we do have to run along to the next thing. So thank you so much. So what we're going to talk about just quickly now, please continue to ask questions. If we have not answered them, if you have more questions, keep asking them. I'm going to talk to you now about getting started and the deals that we have running up until the end of financial year. So I'm going to share my screen with you.
Julie's just asked about, by client, can you flag annual expenses like professional registration fees, etc.? Not yet, but I know that's one of the conversations I've had with the team about, you know, continuing to develop experts out around those sorts of scenarios in files. So, you know, we saw that there was an ASIC invoice last year. Should we have one this year? And in fact, ASIC renewal due or not paid is actually one of the existing experts. So that's a starting point. But Julie, that would be one of the things that if you've got a use case for it and you're using experts, send it into the team and they will continue to add it to the list and look at building it out. But yeah, I absolutely. Are there 12 rent invoices across a year? You know, does the insurance invoice, is it split correctly between stamp duty and premium? You know, all of those things that we ask questions about and look at has the potential to be turned into an expert. So if it's not there as an expert already, ask the question around it.
Yeah, and if you want to follow along as well, so we use Canny. I'll put this in the recording email that I send out after this, so you can follow our roadmap. You can see where we're up to. You can upvote things as well. So, and we have such an engaged community on there as well, and our incredible team actually continue to evolve and develop the product based on the user requests. So they're really responsive. So if there is something like, oh, I'd love to know, okay, what are they doing? What's coming next? Oh, can I make a request? You can absolutely join our Canny community and then you can be part of that, make your suggestions. I've never seen people so excited as when they see new things come through. It's actually so awesome. So now, hopefully what you've heard today is enough for you to think, all right, I think I can see some benefit here. I think that this could help me with what I want to achieve. So getting started is absolutely super easy. It takes less than 5 minutes, about 2 on average. And all you need to do is just click on the sign up button. You can actually just go to our website and do it right now, or you can wait until I send you the link. You just fill in your details, connect your files, and then we offer you our full features for free for 30 days. I will give you a hot tip. I do suggest that when you get started, connect all of your client files, because Who else offers you an absolute audit of all of their transactions and activities for free for 30 days? And that will give you a really clear, we had some pricing questions, that'll give you a really clear idea of how much it will cost ongoing to have those clients connected. And as Cass said, you can shop and choose whatever works for you. And we do actually offer a return on investment report as well. So you can go client by client and see, based on your fees and services and charges, how much time and money you save by using XBert. And you can make that decision for yourself as to whether you think for that particular client it's worth it for you. So sign yourself up. You'll start to get emails from us. Our team will reach out to you within 24 hours to set up a one-on-one session for you. And we're right there to help and support you the whole way along. You can ask us any questions either via email, in the app, all of those things. But we do have a bit of a special offer to attempt to make the end of financial year a little bit easier for you. So if you sign up before the end of June 30 for what we call our fast track program, here's what you get. So fast track is our customization. It's where we sit down with you one-on-one for about 5 hours. Cass is part of that as well. And we help you set up XBert exactly for you and your business and your goals and visions. Usually that costs $2,000 because it does require your investment of time and ours as well. But from now until the end of financial year, it's only $500. It's a really good deal. And you also, on top of that, get 3 months, 50% off your subscription for all of your clients as well. So it absolutely pays for itself, and you get our ongoing individual attention and support to help you do that, as well as access to all of our other learning and support opportunities as well. And you can choose if you like one-on-one, if you like small groups, whatever takes your fancy. So what I'm going to do now is okay, no, we're not, because none of the polls are coming up. That's excellent. That's all right. So if you do think, all I'd love you to do right now is just to pop into the chat for me. Yep, I'd love to start my free trial. Just going to give it a crack. Or yes, I'd love to start my free trial. And yes, please, I want help. Can I please have fast track? Or maybe fast track, but can you just give me a call, or can someone explain it further to me first? So let me know where you're at, or you might be like, not right now, but thanks. There's no right or wrong answer. You just let us know where you're at and how we can help you. And then that is what we will do. But yeah, the fast track, the numbers of fast track we can do is limited, and this deal is actually insanely good. So that would be my recommendation if you feel that feels right for you. But you're also just welcome to get cracking and change your mind, or make up your mind, or you choose your own adventure as you go along. But yeah, so I'm going to stop sharing my screen again now. But yeah, so let us know if you'd like a call. You can also just respond to my email as well and let me know that way, and we will be in touch to help you get set up. Also, feel free to continue to ask those questions by replying to the email, and join our Facebook group. We will be having our first Ask Us Anything session next Friday at this time, and that's where we do a bit of a deep dive. So that is really, really drilling into those specific areas that can save you the most time or money. But thank you so much for the pleasure of your company. And thank you, Cass, for being amazing as always and sharing your knowledge. We're very lucky to have you.
So next Friday, same time, same bat channel, we're actually doing an Ask Me Anything type session. So this is going to be a chance. We're not going to be sitting here demoing, but we're basically going to respond to any questions that you may have about XBert. So if there's any existing XBert users here just sort of a bit puzzled, come in, join in, and we will answer your questions for you. So thank you.
Amazing. Well, happy Friday. I hope everyone has the best weekend, and we hope to chat and connect with you again soon. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Fabulous. Lovely to catch up, everybody. Thanks very much. Have a great weekend.